You are now watching the Queen Chioma. So hey guys, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Test video podcast edition. So by the title, we are going to be talking about Cardi B and how she is ruining young girls. So I basically was on Instagram the other day and I was just scrolling, and sometimes I just like to look for content and ideas for my channel just from going to other blog pages. So one of the blog pages that I follow had reposted that Cardi B was on Instagram Live playing her song WAP and quickly shut it off when her now 2-year-old daughter Culture came in the room. So social media users then became adamant on hounding Cardi for not caring about her music and her actions and how it affects other young girls, but they felt some type of way that she doesn't allow her daughter to listen to certain music, especially music that she makes that is considered explicit or inappropriate for a 2-year-old child. Now the reason why I wanted to talk about this because I feel like Cardi's approach to the situation was definitely interesting, but I personally feel like although yes, people do have a right to feel some type of way about her music as an adult, Cardi does not really deserve flack in this case because at the end of the day, that's her child and what she chooses to do with her child. So there was a social media user on Twitter that said, so your daughter can't listen to it, but everybody else's daughter can? At I am Cardi B. Oh, okay. Exactly what I've been saying. You have an agenda to push with that trash ass label you're with. Disgusting. So Cardi then quoted and responded to this user by saying, y'all need to stop with this already. I'm not JoJo Siwa. I don't make music for kids. I make music for adults. Parents are responsible on what their children listen to or see. I'm a very sexual person, but not around my child, just like every other parent should be. She then continues and says, there's moms who are strippers, pop poom poom, twerk all night for entertainment. Does that mean they do it around their kids? No. Stop making this a debate. It's pretty much common sense. So I wanted to talk about this because I kind of feel like, yes, this generation is very overtly sexualized, especially through women and through music. And that is a topic that we definitely have covered on this channel. But in this case scenario, someone being a parent and restricting their child from listening to certain content, especially when they are the ones displaying such content, I don't really think she did anything wrong. But I've broken my video down into 3 main talking points, so let's get right into this video. So point number 1 is the influence of this imagery. Cardi B cannot deny her sexual influence on young girls. Unfortunately, there are parents who don't really restrict their children from seeing certain content. Growing up, I grew up with a pretty strict upbringing. I am Nigerian, so you know, it is very strict. There were certain things that I was not allowed to do, see, watch, experience, and so forth. I remember we were only allowed to watch BET 106 in Park when my mom was either at work or not around, just because some of the images in those music videos back in the day, and even now, but back then, were pretty explicit, and my mom did not want us as young girls, me and my younger sister, let alone my older brother, to be consuming that imagery. I remember there was several times she would walk in the room and turn off the television and say, you guys can't watch this, because that was her as a parent saying, I don't want my young daughters exposed to such sexually explicit content that she felt as a parent we weren't ready for. And I feel like it definitely did impact the way how I am as a young woman now, because there are just certain things that I'm just now experiencing as an adult or older in terms of sexual conversations and content versus other people may have experienced them when they were way younger, and the influence is definitely there. Now Cardi B is not the only rapper or the only woman in the media that does this overtly sexual content. Almost every female rapper nowadays that is mainstream follows the same pattern, which pretty much means having to kind of over-sexualize yourself to create buzz. For as long as we can remember, before there was ever a Cardi B, before there was ever a Meg Thee Stallion, before there was ever a Nicki Minaj, and even before there was ever a Lil Kim, sex has always been a selling point with many things involving women. Back in the days where people were wearing turtlenecks and floor-length skirts, up into the current times where girls are wearing nipple covers, and that's pretty much it. Like, selling sex and having women be put into sex to sell whatever craft it was, whether it was music, whether it was a magazine, whether it was makeup, has always been a thing. Cardi B is not the only one, and that imagery has been consistently infiltrated into the minds and lives of young girls way before there was ever a Cardi B. Yet it is undeniable that Cardi B is definitely a high perpetrator, especially with this WAP song. Now, I made a video about the WAP song when it first came out, and I thought it was pretty good in terms of like what it was meant for. I don't think the song was overall a great song for any other reason other than the fact that it was a sexually explicit song and it was catchy, the visuals were great, and I thought it was kind of empowering for the women who are in that type of crowd and into those type of things. Overall, for women, was it the best? No, but let's be real, adults have sex. There are women women who are very prude, who sit front row at the church, who don't wear anything that exposes their breasts, exposes their butt, exposes their midriff, that are having sex that may be freaks underneath and the freak in the sheet with the beat. Okay, I'm just playing, y'all. But still, I don't like the idea that when women talk about their sexuality, whether it's explicit or whether it's in private, it's almost deemed as like, oh my gosh, she's just so horrible. Are y'all not having sex as adults? I know some people aren't, but there's a lot of women who sit up here and try to act so holier than thou and say, oh my gosh, these girls are doing this, that, and the third. Meanwhile, there's still a high percentage of women that do the same things. They just do it in private and keep it to themselves. There are women that are very open about their sexuality and can publicize it, and there are other women that aren't, but that doesn't stop the fact that adults are sexually active and that women are sexually active and enjoy actually having sex. And I think to some regard, sex should be a private thing or private conversation between you and your partner. Yet there are some women that are expressive about it, and I don't think I should be the one to police what they say. In terms of sexual imagery, we're seeing it higher more than ever on Instagram through these Instagram models who are always showing off their bodies and going to get their bodies done to show off. And I just feel like this is an evolution of women and sexuality, but I don't think it's anything that's considered a new phenomenon. Now, moving on to point number 2, I wanted to talk about the gender bias. I did make a video back last year about Meg Thee Stallion, and I titled it, Stop Rapping About Your Poom Poom. Now, I wasn't telling Meg to stop. I was just saying that in terms of that was the tone that she was being told, was to stop rapping about sexually explicit content. And I definitely agree that Meg and other female rappers should be able to voice their sexual experiences and sexual lyrics as they see fit. Now, people get upset at the fact that, okay, these female rappers are sitting up here rapping about this, that, and the third, and that's all they do. But at the same time, society, social media, and the media don't even allow for there to be a variety. There are other female rappers that aren't so sexual, but they're not mainstream because, again, like I said, sex sells. Is it fair? No. But is it real? Yes. Now, in terms of gender bias, let's look at the lyrics to the song Throat Baby by BRS Cash. This is a song that kind of went viral in 2020. I remember going to Atlanta back in October of 2020, and I had first just heard the song. Maybe I was late. And then the next time I came back to Atlanta, like 3 weeks later, this song was like everywhere. When I came back to Ohio, the song was everywhere. And it's been pretty much a viral song, but the song is very explicit. But people really like the song in terms of like the beat and the flow, and I guess some of the lyrics, even though they're not the greatest. But I think it's more or less the melody and the hook to the song that make people rock with it and think it's pretty catchy versus the actual quality of the song. I'm going to try my best to keep this as PG as possible because the last time I spoke about the lyrics of WAP, my video definitely got flagged and demonetized. So the song goes, sexy little B, sexy little go. I love the way you walk, I love the way you talk. Let a young naked come play in your throat, deep stroke your throat till I make you choke. Throat babies, I'm trying to give them to you. Throat babies, I'm trying to bust all on you. That's just the hook to the song, okay? It's very similar to WAP, pretty much the same type of explicit content. The only difference is it's coming out of a man's mouth. Now, the next part of the song says, got a little 100, that's if you want it. Extra little 40, come get it right now. And I got beans, you bite down. Super good head, no cap gown. Since the first time I've been fiending, couldn't believe it. Head like that, poom poom don't need it. When she get hungry, she eat my semen. Balls and all, with her mouth, she clean it. Please tell me what is the difference between that's been pretty much a praised song, if you will, through 2020 and into 2021 versus a song like WAP. Let's be real. The controversy that was surrounding the song WAP in comparison to a song like Throat Baby is really confusing because at the end of the day, they're both saying the same very explicit things. Granted, this male artist, BRS Cash, is not as big as Cardi B or a Meg Thee Stallion, but his song still got a lot of airplay, a lot of radio play, and was very, very popular amongst young people who like urban rap and hip hop. It's always very off-putting to me that objectifying a woman's sexuality is a lot more palatable when it doesn't actually come from women. But at the same time, I'm not really surprised that this is how society operates because it's been like this since the beginning of time. Like, women don't get the same credit for being sexual as men, but then women and men will demonize women for being sexual, even though men speak on women being sexual, but women can't be sexual. But men can be sexual with women, but women can't be sexual with men, and they cannot speak on their sexual experiences with men without being demonized for being sexual, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of women, especially black women, we love saying like women should be able to do what they want and this, that, and the third. But as soon as a woman does what they want, it's always like, OMG, let me go and crucify this woman for doing what she wants. Cardi B never said she was a saint. We clearly know she's not. Cardi B comes from being a stripper. Everything she's ever known in terms of her adult life, in terms of a career, has been overtly sexual. So I'm not surprised by her making a song like WAP, and I'm not surprised that she would actually filter her child from being exposed to that type of lifestyle child. Let's be real, the whole point of being a parent sometimes is raising kids to do better than you are, right? Or to do better than you do. So why on earth would she expose her child to such explicit content at only 2 years old? And people think 2-year-olds don't know what's going on. 2-year-olds are very smart. 3-year-olds are smart. 4-year-olds speak in full sentences and know a lot of what's going on. They don't necessarily understand these lyrics, but they hear these lyrics. And I feel like back when I was a child, there were a lot of songs back in the day that I would sing that didn't make any sense to me until I got older. I'm like, wow, I used to say that. Like, I remember I used to sing the Whisper song by the Yin Yang Twins, and that song is so nasty. And I never really understood like how nasty it was. And even the song played by David Banner where it's like, run girl, I'm trying to get you, see wet, work that, let me see your drip sweat. Like, I just thought that was like a little funny song until I grew up and realized these lyrics are not cool. But when it's coming out of a man's mouth, for whatever reason, men and women, let's be real, men and women give it a pass. But let a woman say anything about her sex life or her sexuality, now all of a sudden people are up in arms and, oh my goodness, how does this affect our young girls? Which brings me to point number 3, raise your own kids. Honestly, I have to agree with Cardi on this one. It is not her job to raise your kid. It is your own job. If your kid is out here being raised by the internet, watching and following adult content such as sexuality or even to things like Love and Hip Hop where the girls are always cussing at each other, fighting each other and messing with these different type of men, and then there's men on the show that don't care. They'll have 50, 11 women and doing all of those things. And then for whatever reason, your child is following that and you're allowing them to see that at a mere age of 12. Whose fault is that? And it's not these other grown people, these other parents and adults and grown people who have signed up to make that a part of their career. It is now your fault that your child is consuming such explicit content. I also did want to add that sheltering your child doesn't necessarily do much but create sneaky and rebellious children. You have to communicate. That's the whole point. I feel like my parents failed at communicating with me because everything was, oh, we're just going to hide this from you. We're just going to shelter this from you. We're going to make sure that you don't see this. And then when I was thrown into the real world at the age of 18 and I'm in college and all of these girls around me already know certain things, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I was like literally eager to try things that maybe weren't the best. If I would have had a conversation prior to with my own parents telling me like, this is not right, or hey, be cautious about this, or let me explain this to you and then you can make your own decisions, but I'll give you my insert on my experience, maybe I would have made better choices. It is not Cardi B's job to raise your kid. And I feel like if she would have just let the song play while her daughter was there, people would have been even more upset at the fact that, oh my gosh, why are you letting your 2-year-old daughter listen to this music? Like, nah, what she chooses to do as a parent is what she chooses to do as a parent. But what you're not going to do is blame her and her adult content and the things that she does for adults to raise your child and then blame it on her. You have to tell your kids why this imagery is considered adult content and do your best to create respectable young ladies. And if you teach your kids good values and how to respect themselves and how to make their own choices, when they become adults or even in their young teenage years and preteen years, they'll understand what is wrong and what is not right. A lot of parents are allowing the social media and the iPhone and the apps and Snapchat and TikTok to raise their kids. And it's not being a parent if you're allowing your kids to consume such terrible content. I will say that yes, there are ways that kids can be sneaky and steal the phones and go to their friend's house or be at school and consuming this content, but that's where being a parent comes in, so that even if they do see this, they understand the right and the wrong, the good and the bad of any type of content that is deemed explicit for a child. So that is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on my commentary down below. Don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.